get just like if you're in the mood to win today, if you're in the mood to win over the next couple of days, and you know that you are in a winner's circle right now because we.
Oh snap!
What the? Let's get on your feet, and let's welcome Willie Moore Jr.
Yeah. PodCast Summit, make some noise in the building.
Bowling.
Can we get a word?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
And back. You know what that means? People have spoken against you. They think that you're crazy. Why you spending all that money to go to a conference for something that you can learn on YouTube? You're being pulled back and back and back.
You're crazy. You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
Say life-changing. David and I have been glued at the hip in business and entrepreneurship and in friendship for the last 7. Just getting started. I've been hearing some feedback. You were definitely a knockout this morning.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all.
Or both things. Number one, click-through rate. Everybody say CTR. This is click-through rate, and I'll break down what this means. But this is essentially when somebody does see your podcast on YouTube, do they click on it? Well,
Ladies, may we get a word?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
I can get just like if you're in the mood to win today, if you're in the mood to win over the next couple of days, and you know that you are in a winner's circle right now because
Bowling.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with I can't do it. We'll do it live.
okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Yeah. And thing sucks.
Sucks.
5,
4. Yo, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? What's up? Happy 4th of July. We're doing it live. Thank you for stopping by the Independent Mail. I am not going to delay. I am very excited about this one because I am about to have a look in on the PodCast Summit 2024. If you saw the thumbnail or you saw the community post and dropped by, you may know about the PodCast Summit. It was here in Atlanta. David Shands is hosting it. A lot of big YouTubers are down there. Tasha K, I think B Simone, I think they're doing breakout sessions tomorrow. Willie Moore had a breakout session today. Some other people, David Shands spoke himself. So it was it looked like it was a really well put together thing. It really did. And I was curious about it because I've wanted to go to one of these events, and I couldn't go to one last year because I think I was out of town. I couldn't go to this one because of, work and #parenting, that's important. And so JR hit me up, I think it was like Monday, and it was like, yo, you got your tickets? I was like, what tickets? And I forgot that actually both he And Jason, shout out to Jason, Dear Woke Christian. Shout out to JR Wisdom. Everybody know the Wiz. And because they hit me up at the beginning of the month in June and told me to check that out. And it was before I went on vacation. But anyway, I had work conflict, so I couldn't go. Well, they sent out an email a couple of days ago that they were releasing virtual tickets. So I copped a virtual ticket because I was like, this is perfect. I'll be able to, log in and check out everything, or I can capture it and look at it later, while I'm working. So anyway, that's what I did. And I decided to check it out live stream with you guys. So I did get to catch the first part this morning, which was like an introduction. Us people with the virtual tickets, we kind of had like our own host and MC, a guy named Mike, really good dude that works with David. So it was very motivational and stuff at the beginning, and then they turned us over to the main room. And I think Willie Moore was the first speaker. Some of you guys may know him from like radio, religious stuff. Big, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Big dude, big dude in the space. So I'm gonna quit talking. I'm gonna go straight into his portion and see and let's check it out. See what we got going on. Let's share the screen with you guys and see if we because the thing about it is I've always been, one of the reasons I wanted to go was because being a small channel is things that I definitely can work on as far as really trying to get some traction in this space, because I don't have any, right now. Let's be real. I have very inconsistent results in posting. So I have questions about stuff like that, questions about optimizing my time, because my job's not going anywhere. And so anyway, I wanted to know about stuff like that. And I was really, really curious about if going to one of these events really helps. Let me stop this till ready. Helps with and I think this is just the introduction for him. I'll let the introduction go too, just so we can see how it was at the place. But I was really curious is if going to one of these events, if it was as beneficial as, like, say, buying a big coaching package from vidIQ or TubeBuddy or something like that. So that's why one of the other reasons why I was really wanted to go in person, because I also think that I'm sure one of the other benefits, besides the breakout sessions with other successful people that can show you and tell you how they did what they're doing, is the networking ability. Because from when they were showing look-ins in the main hall in the crowd, like it was a packed place. So it was a very good turnout. It looked like a lot of us was joining in on the virtual live stream. So anyway, let's check out. I think this is the introduction for Willie Moore, and then we'll get into Willie Moore's first to his part of the breakout session. So let's check it out.
Let's get on your feet, and let's welcome Willie Moore Jr.
Yeah. Podcast
really
Summit, make some noise in the building. Come on, you can do better than that. Make some noise in the building. Man, y'all looking good today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was his introduction. His introduction. Let me go to the actual speech parts. Let's get to the actual speech parts. Willie Moore parts 1. All right, here we are.
Let's get that out the way. You know what? As I was sitting there, Donnie took all my message. I was gonna tell y'all, don't try to learn everything. Just learn.
Yeah, this was me making sure it was capturing. My bad.
Let's get on your feet.
Yeah, my bad.
And what they have been able to create. Y'all make some noise for them. Come on. Leadership is key.
Yeah, they are in the building. They are in the building.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Look at the tankers in the building. Y'all show some love to my brother Ben and Jewel. The tankers are in the building. I love them to life. Yeah.
See, I was wondering if they're real
so
tankers.
Who?
If they
How
are.
many of y'all actually know who I am? Put your hand in the air real quick, because I don't want to reintroduce.
I know
Probably
him
about
as the
42%.
dude with the
All right,
hat.
good. And you can just be honest. Let's get this out the way. How many of you all have no idea who I am? Just put your hand in the air. Cool. Because I don't know you either. Praise God. Let's just get that out the way. But preferably by the end of this amazing event. We'll get an opportunity to know each other. You know, I often tell people, listen, you know, you hear so many people talk about your why and why. You need to know your why. Any of you ever heard that? Like, you got to know your why. Well, I always think it's important that when you get on any stage across the country that you let people know your why, right? So give me that picture real quick. I want to introduce you to my family, if you don't mind. Give me that first picture, if you don't mind. I want to introduce you to my family. I'm a father of 4 amazing children. Everybody say, "Aw." Yeah. Keep that up real quick. You know, the little guy on the left, far left, is Khalil Benjamin Arthur Moore. He's 21 years young. And I don't say that to make you say, wow, but it seems just like yesterday I was holding him in my arms, and in a twinkling of an eye, he was 21 years old. He's at the University of Mississippi. He's on the dean's list. He's my little genius kid. I cannot wait until he takes over some of these businesses that I have, because I'm not sending my child to college to go work for anyone. We send him to college as a plant to bring that information back to our companies to do what we have to do. And he said, well, I want to go into sports. I said, well, I guess we're going to be sports agents. We're going to build a company around it then. So to all my sports people in here with those type of podcasts, I'm looking for you, because I want to make sure I connect you with my son. That other guy right next to me who's 15 years old, taller than all of us, that's Peyton Moore Jr. He is 15 years young, and he's my creative guy. And he's my why as well. Like, he's really creative. He just finished an amazing film. He's doing some really great things in music. And I'm just so proud of my 15-year-old. And then if you look to the right of me, there is a little boy in a blue suit. That's Princeton William Moore. And when I tell you Prince William is probably the most amazing and wise child that I've ever met in my life. In fact, when he goes to school, when I meet his teachers, I always tell his teachers, can I talk to you for a minute?
All right,
and they're like, sure. I said, well, let me
this?
explain my child to you, because I don't want him to offend you. He's going to ask a whole lot of questions.
I thought it was something I did.
And he's
going
to
to
say why. But I allow him to ask why, because he actually wants
capturing
to know.
by itself.
And so when he asks you why, just create an answer that will suffice. And he will continue to ask why until he sustains the information and understands what it's for. Because he'll say, so why is that? And why is that? Because he really wants to know. This year when I walked in, the teacher said, I'm so glad you told me about this boy, because he wired me to death. I said, yeah, I encourage him to do that. And I'm going somewhere on this next one. This is my baby girl, the only baby girl in the house. Her name is Paisley Ray Moore. Paisley P. Ray R. Moore. P-R-A-Y Moore. Pray Moore. That's Paisley Ray right there. Y'all make some noise for my baby.
Okay, all right, that's cute.
Talking about my wife. So the other day, Paisley and I were in the front of our home, and she's like, Daddy, come, I want you to walk with me. I was like, okay, walk with me. And she said, get in line, Daddy. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to get in line. And she said, mush, 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 mush. And I'm looking at myself like, if somebody go past with me walking around marching like this, they going to laugh at me. So I'm marching. She said, come on, Daddy, stay in line. March. So we're going around this big driveway that I have, and I'm marching. I went back and looked at the cameras. I looked like a fool, child. And so I'm like marching. Every time I got out of line, she said, get in line, Daddy, march. And I began to think about you guys. I said, I got something to do this weekend. And I realized that whenever you get in line, you're going somewhere. Yeah. So whether you were in school and they was like, line up, you're about to go get a drink of water, and you march, you're going somewhere. Whenever you're getting on Delta Airlines and you get in line, you're going somewhere. And so I want to talk to you guys about going somewhere. Turn to somebody real quick and say, I'm going somewhere. Yeah, I'm going somewhere. Yeah. Now look at
because I was wondering where he was going with this. So okay.
March. Because, baby, let me tell you something. Greater is he that lives in you than he who's in the world. People have spoken against your destiny so much. In fact, because you got a little older and it's a little bit more gray, for some of us, we baptize our beard, because I'm going to make sure that gray don't stay. Come on, somebody. They'll tell you that you are too old or too young to do what you've been called to do. Listen, I'm from Berkeley, Missouri, where the median income is $17,000. I grew up with killers and drug dealers. They told me what I couldn't be. You're looking at a person who never had the opportunity to meet his biological family until 2020. I was adopted by 2 ex-sharecroppers, one from Mississippi, the other one from Louisiana. Today, my daddy is 93, 92. Well, he in early stages of dementia, depending on what day. I'm just glad he's still here. You hear me? But he's 92, 93 years old. My mom is, well, she been 35 the last 35 years because black don't crack. And you know, beige don't age. But I grew up with two ex-sharecroppers who taught me the importance of being laser focused. Family, I got uncles right now who can't even read or write, but they got a handshake and a word. How many of you all know that your word gotta mean something, right? So I've been challenged to come in early in this amazing summit to make sure that you are empowered, that you get your heart postured to win. And I wanna give you 3 things that I believe can be the most beneficial when you're in an atmosphere like this. You know, when I used to come to these environments, there was a time
like, that's
when I
them
felt
doing
like
that. I
this
did
was a
not do
pull
this.
back for me. A pull back. Because pride's gonna always make an excuse, but humility's gonna make an adjustment. Come on, write that down. Pride is gonna always make an excuse, but humility's gonna make an adjustment. If I can be very honest with you, I was coming from St. Louis, Missouri.
I do not recall doing this.
As she said before, I guess I gotta bring that up too, that I was this guy named Pretty Willie. And I was singing songs like, lay your body down, boom, boom, and let me touch your body. Y'all knew that, did it? And then I made this song and said, I'm in this transition. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you go from
I went to a
here,
different video
knowing
after that.
exactly what you want to do, having a level of success, to be right back at the bottom trying to figure things out? And
Yes, we switched over. Next video here. So Willie looks like he's motivation. So I want to go to the actual host for a second. Mr. David Shands. So I get the gist of Willie. Willie was warming the place up to, of course, to get our minds in the motivational states. But let's see what Willie has, because not Willie, but the host, Mr. Shands. I want to see what he has to say, and I also want to check out the actual more YouTube specific spot with the guy named Omar. That's really what I'm really interested in checking out. So let's look at these right quick.
Say life-changing. David and I have
That's
been
what I'm looking for, something life-changing.
in business and entrepreneurship and in friendship for the last 7 years. This is a vision that has been manifesting for him for over a decade. Somebody say a decade. This is the evidence, you guys. Remember I said success leaves clues? I'm talking about a stand-up entrepreneur, an outstanding father, a leader, a mentor, a coach, one of my very favorite people on this entire planet. We're about to hear from the David Shands.
And now, our feature presentation.
To the video, you guys.
Let's make the video big, because I think it's a production. Yeah, let's check it out.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, what's up? Are we on?
Yeah, you're on it too.
All right, the man of the hour.
All right.
Are we on?
I've been trying to be an entrepreneur for a long time.
All right, I've been doing videos a little bit lately, so try to see what other people are doing in their videos, so you know, mine can be
Right,
tight.
young Dave.
You know?
The final straw was working at the Cheesecake Factory, and I take my tips for the day, put it in the bank.
Everybody know how to clown the Cheesecake Factory.
It was like a little bit over negative, and I said, "Yo, something's got to change." So I started my business. I was building a T-shirt brand called "Sleep is for Suckers."
Go check out www.sleepisforsuckers.com. It ain't just about me. It's a group of people that help me with it. You know what I'm saying? If you ever bought a shirt or gave me an idea, you know, you got stock in this company. So, you know, just how that.
This is David Shands, the
Try, fail,
guy that's putting on the conference, the podcast.
Everything that didn't work out through my journey helped me in this right here.
1 minute till showtime, everybody.
You need a minute.
It happened so gradually.
You got it.
Endorsement.
You know what I mean, it's like with this podcast, you drop one episode. So here's the thing, Melissa, I didn't name this podcast yet.
Okay. It'll name itself.
It'll name itself. Then 2.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got all that out the way.
Then 3.
You only got one chance, one shot.
And it starts to build. We are here with the podcast king, Social Proof Empire. We've taught a variety of different people how to actually get going in the podcast space, how to monetize the space. How do you start with an idea? None of y'all got a background of podcasting and grow it. There are some people right now that's listening like, yo, I would love to do what they're doing.
5, 4, 3, 2.
I didn't know it was possible. I didn't think it was like nothing like that was possible.
It's extremely possible.
Action.
I feel amazing. Young money maker. Season ticket.
All right, let's get on our feet. Let's get on our feet. I don't see you.
Make some noise.
All right, you guys. Let's give it up for David Shands. Come on, podcast women. We can do better than that. We can do better than that. This is D-Man. This is the king of podcasting. Let's give it up one more time. Let's give it up loud as you can. I need everybody on their feet. Top of your lungs. It's David Shands.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. D, Mr. DS, what you got for us?
Oh my God. I am speechless. I am speechless. My man Mahdi just made a post. And we had this building. It was about 3,000 square feet, and we probably had like 25, 30 people, and we were doing this workshop, just asking people to come and just trust. We have this information. And to look out in this audience to see what someone that worked at the Cheesecake Factory could do.
Shout out to the
A
cheesecake,
server.
baby.
I've never gotten an award for being the best anything. I was never the best player on my basketball team, never the best student, never the best anything. And I really feel amazing because I believe that I represent the average person that just wants a little more. That video, it shows, I mean, that was 2013. I started making videos. That was 11 years ago. My question is, do you have 11 years to make something happen? Do you have 11 years? Or does it have to happen? Does it have to happen in 11 weeks? Are you waiting for 11 days? You start and stop because it didn't happen in 11 days. I want you to think through that. Looking out here, you all have a story. My dad had a story. My dad passed, and probably the most brilliant man I've ever met in my life. The challenge is you'll never be able to hear it. So we do stuff. I remember one time, I had a basketball game, and we won the game. I thought I did pretty good. But he says, son, every time you go to your left side of the basket, you lay it up with your right hand. And anybody that plays basketball knows if you go to your right side, you lay it up with one hand. If you go to your left hand, you gotta lay it up with one hand. He said, every time you go to your left, you lay it up with your right hand. You need to work on your left. So we got home. We won the game. I get home, and this could be, I could have reported him, but he tied my right hand behind my back, gave me a basketball, and for about an hour made me dribble up and down the street with my left hand. He taught me that you can't walk around life with handicaps. There's some things you need to work on. And maybe your next game, you're not going to be the best with your left, but we're gonna go through this exercise every single day. And he'd have me going up and down the street with my left hand. And guess what? my left hand got better. So what if I never went through that process? I'd be walking around life with a handicap. How many people you knew you were supposed to start a podcast a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but you haven't started yet? Raise your hand. Y'all are here. And raise your hand one more time if the reason you haven't started isn't really a valid reason. Okay. Raise your hand this time if you just don't like to hear your own voice. Or you're thinking to yourself, I don't know who's going to listen to me. Well, you might be right about that. You might have a terrible voice and no one wants to listen to you today. Today. But I'm asking you to stop walking around life with a handicap. You can work on anything you want to work on and succeed. I'm telling you. My dad never gave me the answers to questions. Ever. I would ask a question and my dad would say, well, what do you think? I'm like, Dad, if I knew the answer, I wouldn't be asking you. He says, what do you think? And he would force me to think. Say think. Say think. He would force me to think. Even if I got it wrong, he's happy.
Now, I hate to interrupt him right here at this point, but it's like I haven't really paused any video really at all to this point. I let Willie go through his whole first half. I didn't play the second half because it seemed like more motivation. This also David's spot so far. Not saying that there's not value there, but it seems to be more motivation. So the part that I saw at the beginning when I was on today, sure. No, I am on at an earlier time. I popped in here earlier, the usual, because the old daughter is working tonight, and she's closing. So that midnight thing is out because it'll push me out too late. But anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. Happy 4th to you. I'm actually there was a podcast summit. Podcast 2024 that was here in Atlanta, and it's today and tomorrow, and I couldn't go down there, but they had virtual tickets, so I captured some of it today while I was working, and I wanted to check it out because I didn't get a chance to check it out. I just kept capturing it and running in and out of here, and one of the things I wanted to see if I could pick up some stuff that was going to be beneficial for me because I have some things I need to work on. Obviously as a small channel person. But I also was wondering if there's a big benefit for attending conferences like this, especially outside of the net. I feel like the networking aspect is probably the biggest benefit, but I also wonder if the congratulations, happy birthday. You got 2 sons, so I'm assuming to your son, right? How old? And anyway, happy birthday. I got a party situation going on tonight. But yeah, so I was just wondering if there was really a big benefit as far as she really is. Okay. I don't know why I thought you had 2 boys. Wow, terrible 2s. Oh, will they? You probably have a good time at it. I had a good time with my daughter at 2 years old. So I was wondering if there was a big benefit to attending one of these outside of the networking, because I'm sure that is one of the big parts with the breakout sessions. So like I said, when I logged in at the first part of this morning, it was very good, but it was a lot of motivational stuff, work on your craft, go ahead and get started if you haven't started yet, things like that. And then we saw Willie Moore's part just now. It was motivational. What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? He's showing his family, got it. Now, Mr. Shands, this is the guy that's putting on the podcast. He's, telling us not to be handicapped, but it seems to be a little bit more motivation. And this is kind of what I kind of thought you would get a little bit out of a conference like this, was somewhat of a little bit of a pep rally, motivation, rah-rah. But I do know that they had some more technical things in some of the breakout rooms. So what I do want to DWC, what I do want to do is get off the what appears to be the motivational part of it and see what the actual YouTube guided or more YouTube focused segment in a breakout room. It was a guy named Omar that was handling this one. So let's check out Omar right quick and things that are more specific to YouTube and see if we find something beneficial here, because we saw the rah-rah cheerlead motivation part, and let's see if we can get some know-how out of the what should be some technical expertise here.
Before I tell you what to do, let's talk about what not to do. What not to do. So number one is uploading sporadically is not a YouTube strategy. If you upload inconsistently, you will not grow.
Hold on. I gotta come back. First of all, you see WC, Dear Woke Christian is in the building, and you rocking the Atlanta Must Be Stopped shirt today. Come on, man, D-Dub. We always rocking your paraphernalia. And I'm thinking about getting another one. Really, to be honest, with the ladies of the ATL running stuff down there in Fulton County, man, I got to double back and get me an Atlanta. It's like, really, how dare I get a Dalton Must Be Stopped without an Atlanta Must Be Stopped? But let's get back to Omar, because I really hope there's some tidbits in here.
Period. So like that even kills the limiting belief of wanting to be perfect, because once you get a good podcast.
And I hate to pause him right there, but I'm glad we went to the YouTube specific part, because I got it with the motivation. But that is one of my problems, is I'm probably too sporadic. It's in the comments right here. Quentin, this is not the right time again, because I was trying to stay on the midnight thing, but anyway, this is a problem. Thank you, Omar.
It's on to the next episode. It's on to the next week's upload. If a podcast tanked and you thought it was going to do amazing, all good. You always got next week. We always got 2 weeks from now. We always got 3 weeks from now.
Another one of my problems.
But you cannot win on YouTube.
Wow, I should have come straight here.
Also, the second is uploading unintentionally. Unintentionally. If you think you're doing the work by just uploading, you're missing out. Unintentional uploads won't help you win on YouTube. Title and thumbnail being an afterthought. The title and thumbnail being an afterthought. If you upload a video on YouTube and you're like, oh yeah, what are we gonna call this? Oh snap, what's the thumbnail? Then you're destined for failure, because it doesn't work that
DWC.
way. A long video bumper.
Let me get this out of the way.
We love our business logos, and we love our little intro stingers, but you don't want a long video bumper. Think about the viewer's experience. Get into it. Like, you got 2 to 3 seconds to show your logo, and then it's off. But it's like, if it's you in the city, you in the streets, and then like you gotta do your thing, it's like, bro, let's move this thing on. Very weak intros. Just starting. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the podcast. Hey man, can share your story. How'd you get started? Like, those types of things aren't working on YouTube. You need a strong start. So I'll say it like this. YouTube is not a video platform. It's a packaging platform. A packaging platform. It's not just a matter of uploading videos. No, it's uploading packaged videos on YouTube. So the only 2 things that matter on YouTube are one of these 2 things, or both of these. Number 1, click-through rate. Everybody say CTR. This is click-through rate, and I'll break down what this means. But this is essentially when somebody does see your podcast on YouTube, do they click on it? Well, yeah, because my podcast is fire. Yeah, but is your title and thumbnail good? No, I don't know. I just picked my thumbnail and I just picked my title. Well, when somebody sees your podcast, you're literally persuading them to not click on your podcast. So this is click-through rate, and then the second is average view duration. Average view durations. These are the only 2 things that matter on YouTube. Getting people to click your videos and getting people to stay on your videos. So let's break through click-through rate really quickly. Click-through rate is comprised of 3 T's. Number 1 is topic. Topic. If you're making we all have a desire to go viral, but there's a better idea of viral, and that is viral for me. If you have alignment in your messaging and in your business, when you get a video that gets 10,000 views, that's about the subject matter expertise that you offer, that's viral. You don't need 1 million views. But some people get very discouraged because they're like not getting a ton of views, but you actually don't need a ton of views. And if your topic is about how to build a landscape business, that's not a big topic. Like, it's not like Mr. Beast, I have a $100 million yacht. That topic is just way more interesting, right? So that topic turns into a title, like an actual well thought out title. And I'll just, to spare you all this work, I'll say, your title should read like an article headline. Your title should read like an article headline. Before I actually put out my videos, I'll put in my topic in google.com and I'll look for articles around that topic. And then I just steal it, low key. Like, they had the written version, I got the video version. So why do double the work?
McDowell's.
The next thing that influences the click-through rate is the thumbnail. The title is for the algorithm. The thumbnail is for the viewer. The title is for the algorithm. The thumbnail is for the viewer. What do I mean by that? Your title probably needs the keyword in it.
DW, still in here, man? What's your opinion so far on this YouTube specific?
The thing is actually what's attracting people.
On this breakout session, right?
So make the title about the thing. Make the thumbnail about the viewer. So if you are an expert in the area that you do.
Right now, my FOMO is with the networking, meeting of people. At first I was having overall FOMO of the event. Looking at some of it now, I think it's well put together, and I think it definitely does the hype part of it. But then, because if I'm not mistaken, I think probably if you got in super early, and got a discount code or something, you may have gotten a ticket, maybe like the $250 range or whatever. But a lot of people paid around $300 to $400 for these tickets. And hearing about CTR and average view duration, like most people know that, besides people, I guess, that hadn't started their podcast yet. So I'm just wondering, bang for buck wise, how much was this worth it? But I'm just looking at a little bit. So let's just check out some more Omar.
Work in, or your podcast is about, that there's phraseology and words and limited beliefs and keywords that would direct to the person that you're trying to reach. You can use the thumbnail for that. So your thumbnail doesn't have to have exactly what your title is. They should complement each other. Average view duration. The two things that make up average view duration is the first 30 seconds. The first 30 seconds. This is what the goal is with every podcast uploaded to YouTube. You want 60% of people who clicked on your video to stay past 30 seconds. When you're able to do this, and I'm going to show you how you can do this, then it's telling YouTube that, wow, this video is delivering on the promise. So somebody clicks the video and then they get what they came for. That's what the first 30 seconds proves, and you want at least 60% retention past 30 seconds. And then this is what I would say for the majority of the conversation. Make your conversation like a masterclass. Have course conversations. The pregame that I do in my head and in my notes before I have a conversation. Anybody actually listen or watch the Department podcast? Turn up. Hey, I appreciate you. Y'all are real ones. I'm just saying, y'all are real ones. Y'all can stand up, come to the front. We actually have a check waiting for you. No, just kidding. But I'm trying to. Every conversation has a North Star. Right? This conversation is about one thing. Now, can this one thing lead into ancillary things because it's an hour-and-a-half conversation? 100%. But let's keep the main thing the main thing. And that's what I love. I love my favorite comment that I get on the podcast is, dang, this was literally worth thousands of dollars, this conversation. But it's because it's a masterclass conversation. It's a course conversation. And if you don't watch my podcast, watch it for pure research. Go back. There was 2 things on that slide. It's like, I ain't writing fast enough. Did you get it? All right, bet.
It was two things on
Okay,
there.
so let me help you with the podcast intro framework. Your podcast intro should be comprised of these 5 elements.
Okay.
The first is clarity. Clarity, meaning that if your video is how to fly an airplane in the second seat, I don't even know if that's like a, give me something, give me a podcast topic that you would do. Just how to do a flight plan? Okay, how to do a flight plan in 2023, and then you could put like masterclass at the, in the title. But when somebody clicks on this video, they need to make sure they feel they clicked on the right video. So sometimes that's literally just starting with the title in mind. So how do you actually put together a flight path? In the past, they used to do it like this. Now they do it differently. Like that is what I like to call resolve. When somebody clicks on your video, they should have a relief that I found the right video. That's clarity. Number 2, credibility. Credibility. If you've watched any of my podcasts, I usually like using money or time in an industry for credibility. If you've spent years doing something, say that. If your guest has been doing something and they've been successful at something, say that. Adding the credibility piece simply makes somebody know that they're not going to be lied to in this conversation. And this is why so many people that I've interviewed on my podcast, they're not that well known. I've done a lot of heavy hitters, which has been really cool, but most of the people are like nobodies. I've just packaged their genius in a great way, and I've done these 5 C's in the intro, and it's blown up. It's their most viewed videos on YouTube, even though they got their own podcast or they're doing their own content.
Right,
but I always try to start with some. Have they written books before? Have they done whatever? Have they done something for a long time? Credibility. Number 3, comprehension. Comprehension. In your first minute of your podcast, you want people to say to themselves, I can do that. I can do that. That means there is a gem you want to give away in your first episode or your first 30 to 60 seconds. Like a gem, just something that they can take from just that. Like if they left after a minute, they would have gotten something. That's what I mean by comprehension. I can do that. Oh, dang, that sounds easy. Number 4, a cliffhanger. A cliffhanger, and I'm going to show you some examples. Hopefully it's all dialed and we can get it going, but a cliffhanger simply it's like a build up to a moment, and then it drops, and then you go into the conversation. And sometimes the cliffhanger doesn't even need to be super thought through so much. It can come after the fact. A lot of the times you just take this from the actual conversation itself and you front load it. It's the coming up portion. But just making sure your coming up portion has these elements. And then the last thing, I put creative. Creative, I would say, is simply it's like the music that you use underneath. You can evoke emotions, making sure that it jump cuts or there's smooth transitions, just making it flow. So the creative element is good. And I'll show you 3 different levels of this, from a very basic level that everyone can accomplish with pretty much no editing, to all the way to if you're really trying to level up and stand out in your industry, you would do it a certain way. So this video right here was entitled, How to Make an Extra $100,000 a Year with YouTube. I dropped this video 2 weeks ago. It's gotten 35,000 views. It's an hour long. But notice my thumbnail, small channel, big money. That appeals to most people that I'm trying to help. But that's just because I've helped enough people to know what they're looking for. Most people have small channels and their desire is to make big money. It's also kind of like a limiting belief. I thought you had to have a large audience to make big money. So notice there's a conversation that I've started by simply the title and thumbnail in somebody's head. You know when I mentioned average view duration? Average view duration could start as soon as before I click the video, because they're so busy processing what's actually going to happen or what's going on in their life. Using question phrases in your thumbnails are really good too. But let's just watch the first couple seconds. So this was what I call a solo podcast, meaning I had no guests. I just have the people that work with me. And I hope you know that you don't need guests to have a fire podcast. You need great information to have a fire podcast. And actually, I was actually afraid to upload my first solo episode, and it ended up getting 50,000 views. And I was just afraid because I had guests all this time. How am I gonna, do this all by myself? And people actually, there was a group of people that prefer the podcasts that are just me. So don't feel like you need to rely on other people to be on your podcast to have a successful podcast. And it's kind of hard to stay consistent if you're looking for guests all the time. So create podcasts yourself too. Let's check this out. Can we get audio on that?
That it's really hard to make 6 figures on YouTube a year, but it's really easy to make 6 figures with YouTube a year. And that's why on this episode of The Department, we're going to be talking about various YouTube monetization strategies, which all came from just a office.
To the beginning. Is that? So just drag the video to the beginning. Hey, can we give it up for the people in the back, though? They're doing a great job. Come on.
I've seen how to make money on YouTube several different ways, and I want to talk about the fastest way you can do that.
Drag, just like just click and drag. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
It's hard to make 6 figures on YouTube a year, but it's really easy to make 6 figures with YouTube a year. And that's why on this episode of The Department, we're going to be talking about various YouTube monetization strategies, which all came from just a office studio conversation. And I was just like, I've seen how to make money on YouTube several different ways, and I want to talk about the fastest way you can do that. So,
okay.
With that being said, we have with me Art Mosqueda, aka What Up,
You can
Son?
pause it now.
And we have
sorry, go
what
back.
is your content strategy?
Sorry, go back.
Plan for
Go
your
back.
business in 2024?
Dude, I knew trying to get super techie with this guy. This is all my fault, honestly. I'll take full responsibility. But I started with a question phrase. What if I told you it's really hard to make $100,000 on YouTube? But what if I told you it was really easy to make $100,000 with YouTube? Qualifying question. People are like, oh yeah, whoa, what's the difference? People are starting to have a conversation with themselves. I learned this from one of my business mentors, Myron Golden. If you watch any of his videos, he starts with a qualifying question. You ever wonder why evil people are rich? That video got 3 million views. What if I told you, like, fill in the blank? Have you ever wondered, like, these question phrases, by starting your podcast, it could eliminate your need to have to edit something fancy. So, like, sometimes I'm in a pitch to get a podcast released, and I don't have time because I'm going to show you the intro that takes us a full 8 to 10 hours to build. This took my guy 30 minutes, but it's because I'm applying the principles, the 5 C's. What we got? Clarity. How to make an extra $100,000 a year with YouTube. What if I showed you how to make $100,000 a year with YouTube? Like, there's no clickbait here. There's clarity. As far as comprehension, I'm going to show you how to do this fast. Oh man, I could do that. So I'm going to show you. This next one was my first one. This was my first solo podcast. And the reason you do want to co-host, even if it's your spouse or your best friend, is because it re-engages the audience every time they open up their mouth. If you are doing a solo podcast, amazing. Just get really good at communicating. But if you can just get somebody to be devil's advocate and just be like, wait, what do you mean by AVD? You just said AVD. What's AVD? What's avid? No, average view duration. Oh, okay, yeah. What's average view duration? And like that, they're being the listener's advocate in that regard. That's why I love having my staff on the podcast when I do a solo episode. It's like, yes, I know it's going to be me majority of the time, but please stop me because you're going to represent a lot of people. So here's like level 2 intro.
What is your content strategy game plan for your business in 2024? Because the reality is you shouldn't just be posting and crossing your fingers. That's not a strategy, and I actually want to help you. So
what would you say to someone that's like, editing is my biggest thing, I don't want to pay for an editor, I don't want to do it myself, like what do I do?
If I wanted to do bare minimum content creation and still be effective, well, here's how I would do it. Number 1.
You want to watch that? Oh, y'all want to watch that? And let me tell you, when you really get good at this, you just know how to talk. You'll speak in sound bites. When my video guy asked me that question, I did it on purpose. If you want to do bare minimum, and that was part of the conversation. But when you get good and you understand, we're all communicators, and we all need to level up our communication skills. But the better you can communicate, the better it'll resonate. So even when somebody asks you a question, just reinstate it, But that was level 2. There was a little bit more flashy, a little more B-roll and things like that. Here's level 3 podcast intros. This one was called The Ultimate Guide to Creating a Personal Brand in 2024. And the phrase I used was known for one thing, because I know everybody wants to be known for everything. The whole pick a niche. I know that's a thing that people struggle with when it comes to personal branding. So creating tension with the title and the thumbnail, because I use the question phrase, but I also understand what people are thinking. This is I wish I could pause it in real time just to say there's that C, there's that C, there's that C. Maybe I'll just say it while it goes. No, I'll let it play. All right, check this out. All y'all gonna wanna watch this whole episode.
And I'm so honored to have a 8-figure online entrepreneur, millions of followers across social media, podcast with over 100 million downloads, Shalene Johnson.
The thing about personal brand is you don't have to be so different. What personal brand is for me is marketing all these little unique pieces that you put forward that make people say, I identify with that, I get who this person is. You can't fix what you don't watch. You can't improve what you haven't put out there. Put it out there, test it, make it super messy. And that's how you succeed. Every single time I invest in myself, I feel like I just got the cheat sheet. Going to the expert is the thing. Time is money, pay them. And you'll get there so much faster. I hired a business coach. I paid her $250,000 for 1 year of coaching, right? First meeting, she says,
oh, yeah, there we go. That's a cliffhanger.
It's Omar's Corey.
You're like, bro, what'd she learn for 250 million?
That was a cliffhanger.
But she doesn't have to be the one, the credibility piece. Sometimes visuals, me just stealing videos from online of her on stage is just adding credibility. But when you say the accomplishments, and they're all real, I'm never trying to stretch or fake what the person on the my guest is doing. But sometimes it don't feel a lot of the times it's simply you can give credibility if somebody's just really good at something. In her case, when you show and tell, it's more powerful. But a lot of our podcasts have that kind of intro. This is the 80-20 rule. Spend 80% of our time on the intro. This podcast got 105,000 views, and this was my 10th episode. This is I'm telling you, what I'm talking about, it works, and these are principles that anyone can apply. Because it was only my 10th episode. Who has more than 10 episodes? You never know. And I actually didn't. I did what I knew, but when this one in particular caught the algorithm, and when I say caught the algorithm, that means YouTube is starting to serve it to more people, that I'm there's something about this intro, and that's how I unpacked the 5 C's. And then now we almost created our intros with that checklist in mind. Where's the comprehension piece? Where's the authority piece? And if you don't have an editor, do it at the end of the conversation. You don't need a person there to actually hit your intro. I showed you. I was looking dead into the camera, and I just said, if you're looking to make an extra 100,000.
Yo, D-Dub, it's funny. I'm feeling Omar too. I'm liking the actual YouTube portion of the summit. I was premature initially when he was talking about CTR and average view duration. I was I'm pretty sure most people that are there, besides the folks that have just started, know about that. So I was, almost questioning the bang for your buck. But I am really liking this 5C intro thing. I'm finding value in that too as well, sir. Good sir. Let's get Omar back up here. Let him cook some more.
$1,000 a year.
I want to hear what he's saying.
Really hard. But I was just looking at the camera and just delivered that. You can do those moments at the end of a podcast. Is this helpful?
Yes.
And so And so those are the things
There
that
it
matter
is.
most when it comes to building your podcast on YouTube. And literally since starting the podcast, shout out to David, he just came to Vegas. I didn't even launch the podcast yet. I was like, bro, can we just like sit down and have a conversation? And he was really cool to do it. And I actually, if you have not yet launched the podcast, I would encourage you to get 4 to 6 episodes done before you launch your podcast, because it builds that runway. So always having a backlog, it's nice. It feels good to be a month ahead, you know? So I started my podcast with 4 in the can. Dude, my first episode was with my wife. I didn't even have a guest. I was like, babe, let's do it. Let's talk. You know, and then over time, it's like, it happened over time, like that I was able to get the voice or the heart of my podcast. I think my second episode was with a UFC fighter. It's one of my friends from church. He's a professional UFC fighter. Anybody a fan of UFC in here? Like, just a few people. Yeah. Dude, literally this last weekend, my friend Dan Ige got hit up 4 hours before the fight. And they were like, bro, dude dropped out. Can you come and fight? And he came and fought. He's my lowest performing podcast. But he was just a friend. And I thought it would be cool to interview a professional athlete. But over time, I realized, oh, my podcast is about marketing, personal branding, online business, content creation. And so if I were to have Dan Ige, my UFC friend, back on, I understand that's what my audience wants. And so we're gonna have a conversation about building your brand as an athlete and pull the principles out of that, as opposed to tell me about UFC. Like that's just like a little random, right? And so I've been able to, this is my best performing interview is with this guy named Chris Doe. And this podcast has over 330,000 views. I think this was my 14th episode. And I'm telling you,
how it looks.
It's not like, oh no, dude, it's because you're Omar. No, I started on my personal channel from scratch. That like I didn't upload the last time I uploaded a video was like 2019 or 2020, and then I just started uploading podcast conversations. What I did know this though, I knew that we as the creator have the ability to control the experience of the viewer, right? So you control the viewer's experience. And you also control the viewer's expectation of you. A lot of people are like, bro, Omar, why don't you upload shorts on your YouTube channel? Because I don't want anybody to just hit me and quit me. You know, like, that's awkward. Don't say that again. But in all honesty, I want people to psychologically prepare themselves to sit down with me for at least 45 to 90 minutes. And if I build that over time, it's kind of what I learned from my guy Myron. Myron says, I don't use the word free, because if somebody jumps on something I'm doing because I said the word free, I don't want to serve that person. He doesn't want to serve, because he has so much free content. He calls it community service content. And in the same way, I don't want somebody watching my content that's like, I'm just trying to get a quick something out of it. And I've gotten millions of views doing tech gear reviews for a channel called Think Media, and I did that for years and years, and it taught me so much about like the practical tutorial side of YouTube. But man, there's something so powerful for podcasting, and there is a demand. There's a demand for people that know how to deliver conversations around a subject matter. Shout out to my boy Neo. I think he's in the house somewhere. Like, we were able to do a conversation. It was very helpful. It is helpful that I live in Las Vegas. A lot of people just end up there at some point in the year. I don't know for what. I don't judge about that part, but I just like, hey, can you come to the studio? But something like this, Neo, I said, hey, can we do a podcast? I know I see you're in Vegas. And I premeditated what the conversation would be about. I know a lot of people's first financial goal in business is to make $1 million in a year. That is just like a high desire for most people. So let's just start with that North Star. How do you make $1 million in a year? And then he defines it right away. This is, you know, when I said don't start your videos with a weak intro. Start with defining something. You're gonna write this down. Start my podcast episodes defining something. And your guest, the expert guest or the person you're interviewing, could define it. So if you watch my podcast with a guest, you'll find that after the 10 to 15 seconds of like just getting through the little banter, I'll be like, so what is a personal brand? How do you make $1 million in a year? Like, define the thing. What is
Taking
sales?
my own notes here.
A lot of people hear the word sales, but how can you define that? When you make your podcast conversation like a masterclass, people will consume it like crazy, because it's like they're getting free game, and it's just packaged in an hour and a half or an hour or however long you want to do your podcasts. I was able to get my guy Myron, and that was a really cool time. But here's the thing. None of this would have happened if I didn't just start and do my podcast and take it serious. I would encourage everybody here, increase your time horizon for success. Increase it. I literally came out of my mouth. I told Art, my video person, I was like, bro, we're going to do a podcast, and I'm going to do this until Jesus comes back. Like, that was my intent. I did not know at episode 10 it would become a thing. I didn't know at episode 13 I'd get at 300,000. I didn't know that it would lead me to be able to have a conversation with Myron and like the brand credibility for me to do a conversation with him, like just completely level it up. Like the price went up for your boy Omar with everything I did just because I was able to connect with him. But like none of this is possible if you're just doing for the quick gain. Increase your time horizon. Like those are the people that'll win, because you can.
Fair enough, D-Dub.
People
Fair
can
enough.
feel your thirst,
and
then they can also feel your contentment. When you're just a content creator, I've never said this before. This is actually really good. I'll write this down. Like when you're a content creator, people don't feel like you're taking from them, because there's nothing for you to like. You're giving away so much. And people can feel that. And then like this is like a crazy
Jason.
Like God opportunity. This is just staying in your bag, do your thing. I get a text from my friend Ryan Pineda, and he's like, yo, Russell Brunson's coming to the office. He wants to like level up his personal brand. I think it'd be very valuable for you to just be in the room, because I think you can help him.
I want to be in the building.
The Russell Brunson. He's like, yeah. And then he's like, if there's time left, like shoot a podcast with him. I was like, okay. So I just go, I show up, and then there was like, I got 2 hours before I go to the airport. Dude, can we sit down and just like have a conversation? All right, sure.
Do you know what, Jason? We did not represent the North Side. We did not represent the North Side. We did it. We did not represent Cobb County and get down there to the Hilton.
I haven't done a podcast in 8 years. I'm like, all right, let's go. And I was able to interview freaking the GOAT, man. I get texts like this from Carter Cofield. How the hell did you get Russell on the pod? You do this by being consistent. Like, your podcast isn't a thing until you make it a thing. I love what David Shands says. He says, consistency is the only cheat code. And when you increase your time horizon for success, then like the little gains don't mean so much. Even like the fall offs. There's times where I upload a video that I think is gonna perform like incredible, and it tanks, and I can't dwell too much on it because we got next week's drop. Like imagine if we just like released ourselves from the pressure of having to be perfect. I promise you're gonna crush. But these principles that I shared about YouTube, it'll help your podcast get discovered. And when I say that the opportunity is wide open, I say it because,
in my opinion,
YouTube needs more long videos on the platform. As crazy as that sounds. Like if there's a topic about something and there's a 2-hour video on it, and you're the only person that delivers cohesively, comprehensively on that subject for 2 hours, dude, it's gonna be served, because there's always the person looking to learn. So like, don't feel like you have to play like the entertainment YouTube game. No, you're playing the education game. And educators on YouTube don't need large audiences to make big money. It's wide open. And I'll end with this thought, and if I have time, I'd love to do some Q&A. That all work works. All work works. Now here's how work works.
About this.
Your work that you do that nobody sees, it's either gonna work for you or it's gonna work on you. Some of you guys came to Podcast Summit because you're like, bro, this podcast thing is working on me. But if you don't believe that the work is either working on you or for you, you're gonna believe that the work is working against you. And when you believe the work is working against you, you're gonna get discouraged and you're gonna quit. But just know that all work works. I started a podcast less than a year ago, and
I like that.
Nobody saw the 15 years of video. I've been making videos since I was in high school. And then I started teaching it for so long. But then a lot of people are meeting me on this podcast, and I thought no one was gonna really consume the podcast. I just was like, it's probably time in my creator journey to do this, but I'm glad that all that time spent wasn't wasted time. And I want to encourage you that like the work you're doing is working for you, or it's also working on you. Thank you.
Yo, Omar, man. Hey, man. Hey, seriously, like Omar, D-Dub, you may have not been in here at the beginning, and I kind of came in here, and I'm not saying a skeptic, but like I was just wondering how much value you get out of going to one of these things, and if it was as much or more of a value than, say, getting some kind of coaching course from vidIQ or TubeBuddy or something like that. But it was very motivational heavy at the beginning with Willie Moore and Mr. Shands, but Omar definitely brought some, what I thought was some technical YouTube know-how and some and strategy. At the beginning, he led off with CTR and average, view duration. I was like, everybody knows that, blah. But then he really started getting into the intros, and the intros are important. And I know it's a weak part of my videos, of all of them, live streams and long form or whatever. But the 5C strategy, coupled with making sure you define something off the rip. Like I'm really going to try to apply that checklist, and that alone almost seemed like it was valuable for being there today and day one. And I actually have some more clips that I may pop online tomorrow and do, but I also have got some tiff stuff I want to get into from the meeting this week, particularly with the firefighters and the whole Jedediah arrest thing. Of course, he was arrested, and I think he got out the next day. But what I really want to discuss and talk about is not my opinion about the arrest and Jedediah, but actually what I was looking at and noticing about the residents on the ground, particularly what posts regarding Jedediah looked like on June 30th, and then what some of them looked like on July 2nd after the meeting had taken place. But so that's what we're going to get into on the next one. I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you check out the replay, please let me know in the comment section. Do you think these types of conferences are worth going to or are beneficial? Especially, do you get your bang for your buck for going to them? I definitely acknowledge that I think the networking piece to these things are invaluable, but I also think Omar definitely put out, in my opinion, a good breakout session where he was more YouTube specific, especially when he was getting to how to attack intros. Again, I probably gravitated to it because I think it's a weak point in my videos. So I appreciate seeing it. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, you guys, peace and stay informed.